Hey, wait, they think you changed? Nah. You just stopped playing dumb. So small people could feel big. Listen carefully, because this right here, this is the part they'll never admit out loud. You didn't change. You woke up. You stopped laughing at jokes that disrespected you. You stopped shrinking so insecure people could breathe. You stopped explaining yourself to people who already decided to misunderstand you. And suddenly, you're different. Oh, now it's a problem. Now it's what happened to you. Now it's you used to be cool. No, I used to be accessible. I used to be easy to manipulate. I used to tolerate everything just to keep the peace. And the moment I chose self-respect over approval, they called it an attitude. Funny, right? They loved you when you doubted yourself. They loved you when you asked for permission. They loved you when you were unsure. Quiet, soft enough to step on. But the moment you stood still, not louder, just clearer, they felt it. That shift, that silence, that energy that says, I see through you now. And it scared them, because people don't hate your growth. They hate the version of you they can't control anymore. You see, when you stop acting stupid, you start noticing things. You notice who only calls when they need something. You notice who gets uncomfortable when you succeed. You notice who smiles in your face but competes behind your back. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's the real change. It's not your personality, it's your awareness. And awareness is dangerous, because now you don't argue. You don't chase, you don't prove, you observe, and you detach. And oh, that drives them insane. They want the old you back, the one who explained too much, the one who forgave too fast, the one who stayed even when disrespected. But that version of you, it died the day you realized your worth. And let me tell you something they'll never say. They don't miss you. They miss the access they had to you. They miss the control. They miss the comfort of knowing you wouldn't leave. They miss the version of you that made them feel powerful without earning it. But now you're quiet. Not weak quiet. Not broken quiet. Calculated quiet. The kind of quiet that watches everything. The kind of quiet that doesn't react. It remembers. The kind of quiet that moves different, thinks different, is different. And that silence, it's loud. Because now your presence speaks before you even open your mouth. You don't need to announce your boundaries anymore. People feel them. You don't need to prove your value anymore. People sense it. And the ones who benefited from your old self, they feel uncomfortable around your new one. Good. Let them. Because growth isn't supposed to be comfortable for people who never wanted you to grow. So no, you didn't change. You evolved. You upgraded your mindset. You protected your energy. You stopped handing out pieces of yourself to people who never deserved the whole. And if that makes them uncomfortable, let them choke on it. Because you're not here to be digestible. You're here to be undeniable. So the next time they say, you've changed, just smile. Because deep down, they know the truth. You didn't change. You just stopped acting stupid so they could feel big. And that's where it gets darker. Because once you stop playing small, you start seeing how many people were only comfortable with a weaker version of you. Yeah, let that sink in. They didn't want you broken. They just needed you slightly below them. Just insecure enough, just confused enough, just available enough to never question their place in your life. But now you look them in the eyes, and there's no hesitation, no need, no silent begging for approval. And that makes them feel exposed, because your silence is no longer empty. It's intentional. You don't reply fast anymore. You don't react emotionally anymore. You don't explain your every move anymore. Not because you're cold, but because you finally understand something most people never will. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. See, before, you used to share everything, your plans, your feelings, your next moves, and people. They studied you, not to support you, but to predict you, to stay one step ahead, to keep you exactly where they wanted you. But now, you move in silence, and silence is unpredictable, and unpredictable people. They can't be controlled. That's why the energy around you feels weird now. That's why conversations feel forced. That's why some people don't know how to act around you anymore. Because they lost the version of you they had figured out. And now they're standing in front of someone they can't read. Good. Confuse them. Because the moment people can't read you, they can't manipulate you. And here's the part most people are too scared to admit. Some of them will try to pull you back, not directly. Oh no, they're smarter than that. They'll joke about the old you. They'll remind you of who you used to be. They'll say things like, "You've changed," with that fake disappointment tone. Not because they miss you, but because they miss controlling you. They want you to feel guilty for growing. They want you to feel wrong for setting boundaries. They want you to question yourself, just enough to step back into that smaller version. Don't you dare shrink just to make someone else comfortable again. Because you already know what that life feels like. You already know what it feels like to overgive, to over-explain, to overstay. You already know what it feels like to be surrounded by people and still feel alone. So why would you go back for comfort? Comfort almost destroyed you. Now you're building something different, something solid, something quiet, something real, and real growth. It's lonely sometimes, not because you're unlikable, but because you no longer tolerate what's fake. Your circle gets smaller, your standards get higher, your peace gets stronger. And yeah, it costs you people. But listen closely. Not every loss is a loss. Some people leaving your life, that's alignment. That's your life removing distractions you were too loyal to let go of. So stop questioning why certain people faded. They didn't fade. You just stopped chasing. And without your effort, there was nothing left to hold it together. That's the truth they don't want you to see. It was never as strong as you thought. It was just you trying harder than everyone else. But now you match energy. Now you observe actions. Now you let people reveal themselves. Instead of interrupting the process by giving them chances they didn't earn. And that right there, that's power. Not loud power, not aggressive power, controlled power. The kind that doesn't need validation, the kind that doesn't beg for attention, the kind that walks away without explaining why. And when you reach that level, something shifts permanently. You stop asking, "Why did they do that to me?" And you start saying, "Thank you for showing me who you are." Because now you see everything for what it is. No illusions, no excuses, no denial, just clarity. Cold, sharp, undeniable clarity. And once you change the game, don't expect the same players to survive in it. Yeah, this is where it gets ruthless. Because growth isn't just about becoming better. It's about becoming incompatible with who you used to be. Same places start feeling off. Same conversations feel empty. Same people, they start exposing themselves without even trying. And you just sit there, quiet, watching it all unfold. No anger, no drama, just awareness. That's the scariest version of you. Because now you don't react, you decide. You decide who gets access. You decide what deserves your time. You decide when to walk away without needing closure. And let's talk about that. Closure. You used to chase it, didn't you? You wanted explanations. You wanted apologies. You wanted people to finally admit what they did. But now, you understand something deeper. Closure is not something they give you. It's something you take the moment you accept the truth. The truth that they knew what they were doing. The truth that they saw your value and still chose to treat you less. The truth that some people benefit more from misunderstanding you than respecting you. And once you accept that, you stop waiting, you stop hoping, you detach. And detachment. That's where your real power lives. Because when you detach, you're no longer controlled by outcomes. You're no longer desperate for responses. You're no longer tied to how people feel about you. You just exist, freely, unbothered, focused, and that energy. It's rare, because most people are addicted to validation. They need to be liked. They need to be seen. They need constant reassurance that they matter. But you built something internal, something solid, something that doesn't shake just because someone ignores you, or misunderstands you, or walks away from you. That's a different level. And here's the truth they'll never admit. They feel the shift. They feel that you don't need them anymore. They feel that their absence doesn't break you like it used to. They feel that their opinions don't control you anymore. And that bruises their ego because they were used to being important in your life without putting in real effort. But now importance has to be earned. And most people, they're not willing to rise to that level. So instead, they'll try to bring you down to theirs. They'll test your boundaries. They'll throw little comments. They'll try to trigger the old you, just to see if you're still there, just to see if they can still reach you. But what they don't realize is, the old you isn't sleeping. It's gone, buried under lessons, discipline, and self-respect. So when they poke you now, they don't get reactions. They get distance. And distance, that's what hurts them the most. Because anger they can handle, arguments they can twist, emotions they can manipulate. But distance gives them nothing. No access, no control, no influence, just silence. And silence forces them to face themselves. That's why they'll call you cold. That's why they'll say you've changed too much. Because they don't understand that your distance is your protection. You're not shutting people out. You're filtering them. Big difference. You're no longer available to everyone. You're no longer open to every energy. You're no longer sacrificing your peace just to keep connections alive. Because now you know. Not every connection is meant to be kept. Some are lessons. Some are warnings. Some are temporary mirrors, showing you what you needed to outgrow. And once their role is done, you let them go. No hate, no revenge, no bitterness, just release. That's evolution, because revenge keeps you emotionally attached. Hate keeps you mentally tied. But indifference sets you free, and you've reached that point now, where you don't wish bad on anyone, but you also don't wish them back. That balance, that's deadly, because now you move without emotional weight, without distractions, without needing anything from anyone. And that clarity, it doesn't comfort you, it cuts you. Because now you see how many times you ignored the signs, how many times your intuition whispered, and you silenced it just to keep people around. Yeah, that part hurts. Realizing you betrayed yourself just to be accepted. that hits deeper than anything they ever did. But don't get it twisted. That pain, it's not your weakness, it's your awakening. Because once you feel that level of truth, you make a promise, a quiet one, a dangerous one. Never again will you ignore red flags just because you're lonely. Never again will you overextend yourself for people who wouldn't even reach halfway. Never again will you explain your worth to someone committed to misunderstanding it. And when you move like that, you become different, not louder, not arrogant, just untouchable. See, people think strength is about dominance, about proving something, about being seen. But real strength, it's restraint. It's walking away when your ego is screaming to react. It's staying silent when you could destroy someone with the truth. It's choosing peace, even when chaos feels justified. That's a different kind of power, a power most people will never reach, because it requires you to master yourself first. And you did that. You sat with your thoughts. You faced your patterns. You admitted where you went wrong. That's something they'll never understand, because they're still running from accountability, running from growth, running from the mirror. But you stood there, and that's why you're evolving, while they stay the same. And here's the cold truth nobody tells you. When you outgrow people, they don't clap for you. They question you. They criticize you. They label you. They try to reduce you back to a version they recognize, because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. And that's uncomfortable. So they'll say you're too much now, too distant, too serious, too different. But what they really mean is, you're no longer convenient for me. Good. Convenience is not your purpose. You weren't born to be easy to handle. You weren't built to be understood by people who refuse to grow. You were meant to evolve, even if it means walking alone for a while. And yeah, that loneliness, it's real. Let's not pretend it isn't. There are nights where it's just you, your thoughts, and the silence. No distractions, no fake conversations, no noise to numb the truth. Just you. And in those moments, you either break or you build. And you chose to build. You built discipline when you felt like giving up. You built boundaries when it felt uncomfortable. You built self-respect when nobody was clapping for you. That's not normal. That's rare, because most people choose comfort over growth. They choose familiarity over evolution. They choose temporary happiness over long-term peace. But you chose the harder path. And now, you're becoming someone they don't recognize anymore. And that's exactly why they're watching you differently. Not with love, not with support, but with confusion, because they can't figure you out anymore. You don't react like you used to. You don't chase like you used to. You don't tolerate like you used to. You've become calm, focused, intentional, and that scares people. Because calm people, they're not predictable. They don't move off emotions. They don't act out of pressure. They don't fold under expectations. They move when it makes sense. And that kind of person, you can't control them. So let them talk. Let them misunderstand you. Let them create their own version of you in their head. Because at this point, you don't need to be understood. You need to be respected. And respect doesn't come from explaining yourself. It comes from how you move, what you tolerate, and what you walk away from without hesitation. So keep moving in silence. Keep leveling up without announcements. Keep protecting your energy like it's your last asset.